Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. We'll get started with our BZA meeting today. First, we'll start with a silent prayer.
Can we get just a second? Let's make sure we get the video's not on. And is the recording? It is. Okay. Now we're ready.
Okay. All right, we'll get started here in a minute with our BZA meeting. We'll start with a silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. Then we'll do approval of the minutes from February, and then we'll go into public hearing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Minutes
Mr. Shrewsbury,
here.
Mr. Palma,
Here.
Mr. Grinnell, absent, Mr. Long,
Here.
Mr. Whitman,
Here.
Mr. Ryba,
Here.
5 present, we have quorum.
First on the agenda, we'll go over the approval of the minutes for February 22nd. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up on the minutes?
Just want to make sure the accuracy on the election of chairperson. For the vice chairperson, would that say Mark Long will serve as the vice chair for the year or the chair for the year?
Chair.
Thank you.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we can make that adjustment.
we'll want to add vice to that. Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll move to approve the minutes with the changes as made.
I'll second that.
Mr. Shrewsbury,
Yes.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Ryba,
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Next up, we'll go into the public hearing for the variance requests. So we'll start off with item A on 159 Harrison Street. And then we'll go into the second item at 38 Evening Street. And Mr. Whitney, if you'd like to take it from here?
Thanks, Chairperson. Good evening. My name is Vic Whitney. I'm legal counsel to the Board of Zoning Appeals tonight. As the chairperson has indicated, this is a public hearing. As you note, there's the stenographer here taking down what everybody says. So in a moment, I'll have anyone that may provide testimony tonight to stand up, and we'll have the stenographer swear you in on either. We'll go ahead and do it both at the same time. So if anyone's going to speak on either the variance request for 159 Harrison Street or the variance request for 38 Evening Street, please stand in the moment when I ask you to, and we'll get you sworn in so that you can provide testimony. Obviously, the applicants as well will need to be sworn in so that the testimony they provide is sworn and on the record that way. If anyone else here thinks they might speak tonight, please stand. If you do stand and get sworn, that doesn't mean you have to speak, but we do need you to be sworn in to speak. Then once the chairperson directs you to your turn to give testimony, he'll direct you up to the lectern here. Please speak clearly and loudly into the microphone. Address all your comments to the Board of Zoning Appeals up here. As I said, again, the stenographer is taking down everything, so we try to speak just one at a time. So if the board is asking questions, let them complete their questions before you respond. And as I said, again, keep your voice up so the stenographer can take everything down. When you first come up, please state your name clearly and your address into the record so the stenographer can get that down as well. So if for some reason we need to get back with you, we will be able to do so. With that, I think I have nothing else other than to ask anyone that will be providing testimony tonight to please stand right now and raise your right hand, and the stenographer will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will present will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. With that, I will go ahead and I've identified the exhibits. We'll just do the first one. I believe the first one we're doing here is Harrison Street, right? So I'll do that first, and then when we get to the other, we'll do the other ones at that time. So I've I've got exhibits here marked. The first one, marked as Exhibit A, is a 9-page document that consists of the variance application and the attendant documents that were submitted by the applicant with that. Exhibit B is a 4-page document, which is the public notice and the mailing and proof of mailing to all the affected property owners. And Exhibit C is a 5-page document, which is the staff report that's prepared and submitted to the board regarding this applicant request. So with that, I would move to admit the exhibits A, B, and C into the record. With that, Mr. Chairperson, I think it's back to you.
Okay, Ms. Carver, if you would please stand up to the stand, and if you would, please explain your proposal.
I'm Karen Carver, everyone calls me Michelle by that name. I own 159 Harrison Street with my husband Timothy Carr. And we've applied for the variance to replace the existing fence that's been there for 17 years and it needs repair, and we just decided to have it replaced. It is on the property line, and I know that the codes have changed since then. And I asked for special consideration because it's a corner lot. So I think the city thinks it's our side yard, and the setback of 20 feet would apply to a side yard, which would put the fence in the halfway of my back porch, and my back door would be not in the fenced area anymore. And I have just thousands of dollars worth of trees and plant material that have been planted in that yard space. And I dropped off photos, and I have photos, but it doesn't obstruct the view from a stop sign. It doesn't impede on the roadway at all. So just asking for consideration. It's been there for 17 years. It's looking pretty good right now.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say in regards to the proposal?
Terrible.
That's okay. Take your time.
It's scary. So that's, I mean, just asking for special consideration because of the corner lot. We do consider it our backyard, is where our back door is. And Harrison Street, which already address this, that would be considered front, but there's not even a front door visible, because it has an enclosed screen porch, which was there when we bought the house. Put it there, so visitors and deliveries come to the Otis side of our house, which we consider our front, because that's where our driveway is.
Okay.
Have a question for me?
We have no public comment here, right? It's just the applicant.
Can I have a
So,
question?
yeah, we can move into questions.
Yeah, I mean, not deliberation yet, but if you have a
Not
clarifying
deliberation,
question,
right.
sure.
Clarifying question, please. What do you plan to replace it with?
6-foot wood privacy fence, fiber fence.
So wood similar to what already exists? Thank you.
Anybody else have a question for the applicant?
One more. You stated the defense would be right on the property line, like right on the property line, or just off of the property line within a foot?
It's survey done in 2007. It's on the property. If there was a fence there, I survey done to make sure it was on the property. And I did bring some newspapers. There's just a little bit bigger. It's just the thing you'll have to look at these.
Any other question? No? Okay, do we have to close the public comment
I
and
don't
then
think you need
move?
to take action on that, but make for the record reflect that you're closing the public hearing on 159 Harrison Street, and then we can start the.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing and we'll move into the board discussion for 159 Harrison Street.
Mr. Chairman, we wanted to do both public hearings.
Oh,
Yeah.
Before you close.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have
I'm already working fence, we are actually going for a fence. And that's when we found out we need the variance. The fence was done way before the zoning was changed. Okay, all her landscaping, everything that she has in the backyard is conducive to the existing fence location. So therefore, it's not, I think we're saying 20 feet back.
Yeah.
20 feet back from the corner, which puts her in the middle of her porch, the back porch. So I just, there's some other violations in town I'm not going to even mention, but I know these people, there are some that went ahead and acknowledged that the zoning was going to be in place. They did some nefarious things with the fencing. So anyway, she has a legitimate claim where she wants the fence, even though it doesn't encroach towards Harrison Street past the front building. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll close the public portion for Harrison Street and we'll move into board discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I think we wanted to do both public hearings and then the stenographer will be able to leave at that point.
Oh, okay.
Deliberation.
Sorry, it's
Yes,
been a while since we had two to discuss.
understood. Yep.
Okay, so then we'll move into 38 Evening Street. The applicant,
We'll do the same thing, ask Mr. Whitney to enter the exhibits,
okay,
that type of thing.
yep, so we'll have Mr. Whitney stand up and explain everything for the second application.
Yeah, so once again, I'm Vic Whitney, legal counsel for the Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm not gonna go through everything that's on the record already. Anyone that would be testifying, I believe, is already sworn. But I am gonna move to admit exhibits. I've marked for purposes of the record with respect to 38 Evening Street exhibits here. The first exhibit marked as Exhibit A is a 5-page document which constitutes the variance application submitted by the applicant and the related documents that were submitted along with the application. Exhibit B is a 3-page document, which is the public notice and the mailing and proof of mailing to the affected property owners. And Exhibit C is a 5-page document, which is the staff report prepared by the staff and submitted to the board related to this variance request. And with that, I will move to admit Exhibits A, B, and C into the record.
Okay. Mr. Workman, you are welcome to come to the podium and explain your application.
Hi, my name's already working fence. Our original address is 22 West Granville Street. So we moved around the corner of 38. And we had our white vinyl fence put in when we were at 22 West Granville Street. And before any code. And then back, who was the previous demo guy? Was it Steve Piles?
Steve Piles.
Steve, okay. I took the fence down because I needed a grade because we bought the adjacent property 38 East Street. So I had to do some grading because there was an elevation change, about 3 feet difference. So I took the fence down based on the west side. So we could regrade, and I talked to Steve about possibly doing a black chain link, and he said that's a no. He said just put the black or the white vinyl fence back. So what I'm requesting, we're doing some cleaning in our lot, and I've had to place stuff outside, and we've had some comments on that. So, as far as the debris that was out there. It's most of it has been put back inside. We need more yard space because we have a lot of semis that come in for deliveries, and we just want to have more inside storage area. So we're not staging things on the other side. That's it. Questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
Is the dumpster gonna stay in there? That's outside currently?
Depends, you notice that. If I move it out, then the dumpster will be on the outside. which one it was prior to. Because a lot of times, the reason I put the dumpster out there is because Republic was having trouble getting in my gate, especially when it was cold and wet going up the hill. So, yeah, if I get the variance, we'll definitely keep the dumpster on the inside of the fence.
With the access to the area being along, sorry, I don't have that right. Would the access change to your lot? I know you have the one gate opening next to the building. Would you add an access to the other
Well,
street?
fence will be taken out, the horizontal fence
Mhm.
that's perpendicular to Granville Street. That will be coming out and moving down to behind our sign. So it's not going all the way to the corner. I know because of being a freeway stop, it's, if I brought all the way down to the property line, it would keep vision
Mhm.
of ongoing traffic. And my thought, it's going to help eliminate drive-throughs on the freeway stop because cops always sit there and people are just blowing right through it, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I can count, it'll be a lot. It's gonna force people to slow down to the stop sign, both ways.
Could we put the image of the property on the screen so we're all clear about where the current entrance is and where the entrance will be? So if you would come up to the screen on this one so we can see
On this
where you're pointing. Yeah, if you don't mind.
And that was it. Okay, this is the current location.
Mhm.
It's coming out this way.
Yep.
It's hard to tell because of we took all the bushes or trees out.
Mhm.
And we got a sign location right here that was approved.
Mhm.
So we're gonna come out 47 feet over behind the sign, return back into the line of fence.
And access through the current fence is close to the building, correct?
Well, there is this is prior to. Yeah, we have a gate here going at Granville Street. We put a new gate in here. And right now, we've got a little dumpster cut out right there. Doesn't have a gate on it yet. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
So those two gates will
Yeah.
Be maintained?
This will be moving down to somewhere in this range here.
okay.
Going over. Keep my bearings here. Yeah, this is the gas regulator. And our sign is somewhere right here. So we come across 47, then over with an access gate here. Over just behind the sign, then up into the existing fence. Questions?
So maybe this is more of a question for you guys. So I don't know if this will change the traffic on Evening Street or access to the fence or the yard that he's enclosing. But is there any discussion on like sidewalk improvement or curbs or entryway?
Yeah, there are no plans to do that kind of street improvement on Evening Street, so, and we did measure the distance, I think it's 25 to 30 feet off of the edge of the pavement, so there's plenty of room for them to maneuver on site. Even if the gate's closed, they can get off of the street.
Okay.
But yeah, as Mr. Workman indicated, I mean, there is an access already from Evening Street, and he proposes to continue to do that. Just brings it a little closer to the street. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the gate here, so.
So does that gate on Granville stay then? So you'd have two gates.
Yep.
Yeah.
My plan is eventually be able to pull that out on Evening Street. That's a good depiction, maybe of the current. You want to on Google Map, and because all those trees are gone. There's a chain wall over here, you can't really see it. Right here. Goes up to the side of the building.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I drove through a couple times.
Question. Thank you.
Okay, so for the application on Harrison Street, I think we can close the public comment if there is nobody else. Yes,
We have,
please. Yes, please.
Very, 272 High Street. I have no objection to the fence. I'm not really sure if this is the place for what I would like to say, but stop me if you need to. I'm just would like to speak on the composition. Right now, it's a giant white plastic monolith, and apparently it's going to be a bigger one, so I would like the board to consider, and possibly Mr. Workman to consider something other than white plastic.
Okay,
Thanks. Nice that you out there the other day. Can I comment?
yeah, if public comments, welcome.
Well, that.
If you come to the podium though, please.
And identify yourself once again, just so it's clear who's speaking for the record.
Already working with fence. Hi, so Steve, when I took the fence down on that west side, I taught him I was gonna put black chain link back up in place. He said, that's enough. So, he said, you put the white rental there. So, yeah, it's white is an eyesore, wear your sunglasses. Yeah, just gonna increase that. But, that's what we can do right now.
Mhm.
So, thank you.
Okay. I do have one question for you guys. So I was looking at the property and with the division of parcels, is that something that needs to be considered since he's crossing over a boundary of a property with this fence? Even though he's the owner of those two properties?
Way I interpreted it, and it's kind of in my staff report like that as well, is since the primary structure of where the fence will be located is going to be this property on Granville, I'm considering that a side yard based on this is the same as kind of if you have a field open next to your house, like that'd be the side yard to your primary structure on the house. So that's the mindset I'm going in with it, is that this is considered the side yard of that property. I don't think we would need to consider, it is have a different address, but as far as it crossing parcel lines, I don't think there's any reason that that would affect what we decide on here.
Okay. Is this anything I should wait for?
Let us look at the.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I see what you mean in terms of, so the property or the fence line now essentially aligns with the parcel line. As Mr. Workman indicated, he does own both of those properties. I I don't know. That is a good question, particularly if he were to sell the property. Now you've got a fence that extends beyond the existing property line. I mean, perhaps we could, if you're comfortable with the fence, maybe we can do a conditioned upon, some sort of clarification or recordation or something where we would record, the fact that it does extend over, and that if he were to sell the property, that he must return the fence maybe back to the property line, something like that. Maybe we could add for the record.
Okay, so I guess we'll discuss that a little bit more.
Yeah, in
In a
deliberation.
few minutes. Okay.
That's not a true rendition. I already went with the property line. That's not a true rendition. This is the white vinyl fence.
If you don't mind, could you come to this screen so I can see what you're pointing at? That's okay.
That's not a true rendition of the property line.
Mm,
It's kind of shifted. So this actually, there is a survey pen at the corner of the vinyl fence.
Yeah.
There was one there. We dug it out when we did that. So
mm.
this lot is actually shifted down.
Yeah, and I think on this, it's just really visual purpose, looking at it online, but again, as we extend into the neighboring property, that's where the question is you're
Well,
going
it's-
beyond that property line.
Yeah, it's going to extend out here, so
Yep.
this is gonna be in a parcel itself.
Yep,
So there's it's not encroaching on this property, just on the 38 Eagle Street.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there is no other public discussion for the application on Evening Street, we can close. Okay,
Motion to end the public hearing.
is there a motion to end?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Mr. Radway,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Shrewsbury,
Yes.
5 yeas, public hearing ended.
And we'll start with board discussion for Harrison Street. Any questions? Comments? Concerns?
My question for somebody that might be able to help answer this, it's Otis and Harrison.
Yes.
The previous, we'll say the address is Harrison, but we're saying that the front door's actually on Otis or,
So as Ms. Carver said earlier, their access to the front is on Otis Street. For sake of it being a corner lot based on our zoning code, it is, both are considered the front. So Otis, since it fronts to the street, is considered the front. They're both considered front yards on the house. So that's the reason we need a variance, because technically the privacy fence that's in the side yard, as you said, on the Harrison side would be in the front, as both sides are considered the front.
okay,
So we're looking for, so that's why in my note, it's, we're looking for a privacy fence within the front yard because it's on the Otis or on the Harrison side of the street. The fence does go in front of the front corner of the primary structure of the house.
Is the auditor's address for this property Harrison Street?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
and because of that, we consider Harrison Street the front of the house. Yeah. And then just to make sure I'm clear on the actual code to fences on the corner lots, it does state here, rear and side yards when they do abut the street, right? So if we were to say Otis was the actual front door, if that were the case, that would make Harrison the side yard. And if that was to code, the fence would be meeting code. At that
In
point.
that case, we would still need to come to here, as we've had in the past, not the variance request, but there's that line in our zoning text that says if it's a privacy fence within the side yard or rear yard on a corner abutting lot, it just needs your approval. So we would still be here, but we wouldn't be here for a variance necessarily, just for approving that application for the fence in the side yard.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Good. Okay, then is there a motion to move to a vote?
I'll move to approve the variance request for 159 Harrison Street.
A second.
Mr. Ryba?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Mr. Shrewsbury?
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Congratulations. All right, so now we'll move into board discussion on Evening Street.
Again, to clarify, even though everything says it's on Evening Street, we are discussing that the address of the property is actually Granville Street.
Yes, so the address for the parcel in question, that address is the Evening Street address. But under my consideration, I'm considering this the side lot for the primary structure address, which is on Granville Street.
Okay. So with accordance to code, a fence in a side yard, does this meet those requirements?
It's up until that same thing we just had with the last one, it happened to come here for approval from you guys because it's a privacy fence in a side yard as well. But aside from that, yes, it would. The code, yes.
And as far as the concerns with it being white or
The material and
It
the
still
color
meets-
it's used, yeah, that all meets code.
it all meets code.
Anybody else have any questions, concerns, clarifications?
Only comment I'll have is I had a couple people, when I asked them about this, they said to enclose it, so.
Yeah.
It's a positive thing. I asked a few people about it, just because the fence with where it's at, and they said enclose it. It's a commercial property, it makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I was gonna make a comment, it's a commercial property. But you're using residential regulation for any commercial property.
Yep.
So, you need to revisit that. Thank you.
There's no more board discussion. I would like to make a motion to approve on the condition that the fence is returned to the property line in the event the property along Evening Street is sold. Since it's abridging two businesses, I think that would be the only thing that we could really consider is adding on to this approval.
Sold separate of the main property.
Could you show this image just so I can go up to the screen and explain?
Yeah, is that the OneDrive? I don't know if we can pull up the OneDrive images
okay.
or not.
Yeah, we can, it'll work. Yeah, it's at Teams, but
This won't work here.
So
Yes.
with this property line here,
So this one is
so we have basically all of the fronts.
Street, 38 Evening Street.
So since this parking lot's already in this property, I don't think it's fair to force both buildings to change there. Because that's ripping out apart. So this is not something that we can address, but this is. So if this property is sold, I think the fence that's extended to that property needs to be brought back to this property.
Question, yeah. This front property goes with 38 Eaton Street, all this strip. And it's shifted over, but this whole property was sold, together with this property here. The only fence I would have to put up would be between this property where the current location is. So if I sold this, either rent that from the new buyer or I'd have to re-put my fence up across here. That makes sense?
Can you highlight this parcel? So I know this isn't part of today's discussion, but This is kind of strange, it's throwing me off, how this building can have a parking lot here. And it crosses over here as well, and this is, I guess, where my focus is.
Yeah, this is part of Union Street, that's why, I question that on the deed transfer, why there's a single lot with a partial building enclosed on the front wall. But this would be, the property here would go with Union Street. Separate from 22 West Granville.
So with our condition that even though we upon vote, right, if we approve to extend to roughly here, upon the sale of this property, that fence would have to come back here.
For what reason?
Because you can't operate on the property if there's no longer property.
Well, but if I continue my fence, it's gonna be separate. The new owner could utilize this property and we would have our own separate.
Oh, so you're saying you would add in a fence here and this would be accessible this direction?
Exactly.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I'll change my proposal then to just that. Is that
Okay, all right, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve as written on the condition, if this property is sold, the extended fence will remain, but we'll add in a fence here at the property line to separate that. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear in my notes.
I understand what you're proposing, yes.
So Alyssa, just to make sure we're all clear on this, can you, no, keep that back up there. I just check on all the parcels just so we can all see kind of where they begin and where they end. I mean, that's what you get in this older, part of town. So, okay. All right, we got that. We know where that one goes to. Okay, these are just small internal parcels. Okay. So does that go down to go to the south, down? Yep, hit those small little ones in between. Do they have a different street address? Dock the window, it'll tell you.
I think that's considered the 22 West Granville address.
So those are all connected. Okay, that's what we're trying to just confirm, that there's not a set. So there's only two addresses here. You've got the West Granville address, and then you got the 38 Evening Street address. So the fence extends into 38 Evening Street, and the condition is that if in the event of the sale of either of these properties, that the property owner commits to segregating the property or segregating it with a fence that separates 38 Evening Street from 22 Granville Street, if I said the address is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
That is my proposal, yes.
And that the sale is to two different owners.
The sale is to any,
If
yes.
he sold the
If he-
entirety, that would not be a stipulation.
Yeah.
But say hypothetically, I sold it, we leased that side lot. Do we have to put the fence in? So,
It would only be under the condition of sale.
okay. So
Yeah.
we sold it, we're still operating on the 22 West Granville Street. The new buyer would allow us to lease this portion in here and the front. Cause this lot here goes with 38 Eagle Street. So the question was, if I was able to lease this portion here.
Yeah. It's a single.
And sale, what happens, if we should go back unless we lease them now. Once we vacate the lease, then yeah, I would say we could go and do that.
So, I think I'll stick with the condition of sale, but if you negotiate something with the new owner, I'll leave that up to you guys
Can we
and,
bring that in next?
yeah. Cause that we could get into long discussion about that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve on the condition of what we discussed. So
I'll second.
Mr. Shrewsbury,
Yes.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Ryba,
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Congratulations.
Zoning question.
How about if we deal with it after the meeting?
Yeah, we'll wait till after the meeting.
That's good.
So before we go, do we have anything that might be coming for our next meeting yet?
Not that I've heard.
Nothing on the books yet. Okay. So we don't have a tentative date for next month, but we'll plan, I believe it's the third Monday.
Yep, June 17th
June
will be the next meeting if we have one, and I'll update you guys if we get any applicants.
Okay.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Shrewsbury,
Yes.
Mr. Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes.
Mr. Ryba,
Yes.
5 yeas, we are adjourned.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.